Heavy metal
My
rock.
global mind.
I went down to the crossroads, tried to make it right. Well, nobody seemed to know me.
I'm Robert Cavuto, and today on My Global Mind, I'm pleased to be speaking with John Corabi of the Dead Daisies for the release of their new single, Love That'll Never Be, off their Light 'Em Up album, and their upcoming blues cover album, Looking For Trouble, that's coming out May 30th. John, welcome, and thank you so much for the time.
Thank you for the invite, buddy.
Yeah, and Looking for Trouble. Trouble seems to just find me. So, how about you? Does it find you, or are you
Oh,
always
yeah,
looking
dude.
for it?
I got a whole book I put out about that a couple of years ago.
Real quick, it looks like Doug's doing really good. I saw some videos. I saw some him practicing and things like that. How's he feeling?
He's good, man. You know, it was obviously when you hear the C word, you know,
Yeah.
it shakes everybody up. But he went into it with a positive attitude, and it was weird. It was like a tonsil or something he never had his tonsils taken out.
Yeah.
So one of them was a little cancerous, so he had it removed. Doctor felt good about it. He did some radiation therapy, and he's itching to get back out on the road again. So, knock on wood, Doug's feeling great, and we can't wait to get back out on tour. And I can't wait to introduce the Golden Boy again.
That's great. Yeah, he's such a nice guy. He's a gentle soul, and we love seeing him play.
Yeah, and you know what's weird? Like, I can't say it enough. I've been saying it for years. One of the coolest things about being in this band, uh, not obviously proud of the music that we've done over the last 10 or 11 years, but the coolest thing is it's like I truly get to hang out with friends.
Yeah.
This is like you and your buddies having a bowling night and just going out having a couple beers. So we get to do it over the course of a month or two. We go out on tour, hang out with each other. But I've known these guys. I've known Doug since he was 16 years old back in Philadelphia.
Yeah, I remember you telling me that. Yeah.
Yeah, and same with Michael. I've known Michael forever. I've known Tommy Clufetos forever. Now it's like I didn't know David, but now we're 10 years into a very good
Yeah.
friendship. So I get to hang out with really good friends, write music, and just be land pirates with, 4 or 5 of my good pals. You know what I mean?
That's awesome. So you got this new single, The Love That'll Never Be, very classic rock, radio friendly. And when I see you on stage, you always have great stories for introducing the songs. Is there a funny or great story behind this song?
Obviously, if you've listened to it, you know that it's really based on making a silly choice. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I've had a few people ask me if it's based on true, a true thing that happened, whatever. And yes, it has happened to me, but it's happened to you. It's happened to it.
Sure.
It would be safe to say this has probably happened to everybody at least once in their life. And, so yeah, I've been in relationships with girls in the past where, things start getting difficult, and then they start weighing out options like maybe this isn't going to work out, or maybe there's something better out there for me,
Right.
and they've made a choice. But it's funny, like, not to sound weird, but I've had a few of my exes call me later and say I screwed up, like
Wow.
I made the wrong choice. But at that point, you've moved on, I've moved on, and you can't go back.
Yeah.
So basically, it's just kind of I used some of that information, and I created this story about a girl, obviously, who made the wrong choice. But it doesn't necessarily have to be about relationships either. It could be somebody thinking that, oh, I'm going to take that job because it's better, it pays more, or it's better than what I have right now.
Mhm.
And they go do the thing, and then they realize, yeah, I'm getting paid more, but it's twice the work.
Yeah.
Or I don't really like the people that I'm working with. So you could put it into quite a few different categories. It's just about choices. The grass isn't always greener on the other side of the fence, kind of a thing. And so I just tried to make it real simple, lyrically, and then, whoever's listening, put their own blank in there. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think it's an honest song too. I think it's a truly an honest, heartfelt song. And that's what I loved about it when I heard it, when the album came out. I thought it was a great song, just honest.
And it's weird, but you know, we're actually, and I don't want to say for the first time, but radio is starting to really take notice
Yeah.
of this thing, and um which I'm very pleased about. Like in this day and age with radio,
Right.
I grew up in a time. I'm going to be 66 in April.
I'm 60.
And yeah, so I grew up, and I'm sure you're familiar, back in the 70s and the 80s to a degree. All your local radio DJs all around America, they were personalities. They were like rock stars too.
Sure.
And then, and no disrespect to Clear Channel, but Clear Channel bought up a lot of these radio stations. I think Clear Channel programs like 400 plus radio stations in America.
Mhm.
So it's like one guy in Atlanta is telling the entire country, here's the 20 songs that you're going to play this week. And so it's really kind of left a void, for the DJs who they've been neutered, but for the listener as well, And I remember, I'm sorry, I'm going off on a
No,
tangent
yeah,
here, but I remember even in Union being at a radio station in Texas, and the DJ was livid at the fact that they were sending in a playlist. Here's what you need to play. And he's like, but the people in Texas don't want to hear, you know, Three Doors Down or Soundgarden. They want to hear ZZ Top and Stevie
Mhm.
Ray Vaughan and King's X, who's a Texas band.
Sure.
So, this one's kind of surprising me. Like, I've been doing radio interviews for radio stations all across America on the strength of this new song. So
Sure.
I'm really pleased that radio's starting to come to the table for something new.
Right.
Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean?
And it's got that retro classic sound. So if anybody hasn't heard it, it's kind of like a Southern rock blues Allman Brother song. So it's a great track.
And the fact that you said Allman Brothers pleases me because I initially wrote the song with Marty for a solo record,
Mhm.
you know, God, 2020, 21, whatever it was, 22. And I did put out a few songs on my own.
Mhm.
But unfortunately, I'm computer illiterate, so I'm like trying to figure out algorithms and just like all this stuff and how to, what do I need to hashtag to, you know, and so I kind of stopped for a minute. I've been stockpiling music,
Yeah.
but when the Daisies called me back, and I went back, we said, hey, we're doing a record. So I just threw a bunch of ideas that were kind of finished already into this Dropbox folder. Everybody that heard I'm Gonna Ride and they heard Love That'll Never Be, they were like, oh, we want to do these songs. So I was like, all right, cool. So what we did with Love That'll Never Be is we kind of trimmed, for lack of a better term, trimmed some fat off it because the way I was doing it, it was a little more produced.
Okay.
I had strings in there, acoustic guitars. There was actually even some other parts that we're not doing in this version. Um, So when we did it, we were jamming it, and Doug was like, "Yeah, dude, why don't we do like kind of a cool Allman Brothers, slide thing?"
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
and it just worked. It was awesome. We changed the song up and kind of, for lack of a better term, toughened it up a little bit and made it more the Dead Daisies.
that's great.
Um, but I
I
love the
saw
way
you.
it came out.
I do too. I saw you in August in New York City. I don't think you played that song, right?
No, we didn't. We were, um, it was on the record, and everybody in the band really kind of felt strong about this song.
Yeah.
But there's, again, for a lack of a better, unless you're Led Zeppelin, there's a protocol.
Yeah.
So we did Light 'Em Up. That was the obvious first track.
Agreed.
We got a lot of uh, interest from that one. While we were on tour, we started talking about Doug and I ride, and a couple of the guys, Michael rides, and so we were talking about the thing, and we wound up doing a video for "I'm Gonna Ride," which got even more uh, feedback in a positive way.
Yeah.
And then I just think, the band guys, we were talking to the label, and we're like, dude, we got to do a video for "Love That'll Never Be." We all love the song. Um, and they were like, yeah, we're gonna get to it. So we finally did the video, and like I said, right now, radio, the plays on YouTube are going at it. They're going nuts, and now radio's like really starting to take notice of the band. So I'm very pleased.
Kudos to you guys. I think it's a tremendous transition or strategic aspect to then toggle to the blues album, right? Because it's got that blues southern rock sound, and then you're going in with Looking for Trouble, which is a blues cover album. So it's a really nice transition, I thought, to do it.
That statement is way too smart for anybody in this band. Listen, I can't tell you what I'm going to eat for lunch when I'm done these interviews, so I'm like, whatever. But it does work. It does work. It does
Yeah,
have like a cool blues element, but we didn't plan it that way. It's just the way the cards laid
that's
out, and
funny.
we're just playing the hand at this
It's a
point.
happy accident, right? It's just a
Yeah,
nice
exactly.
transition. And at first, when I got the press information about it, I was like, "Oh, is this, where does this song fall, and where is it on the new one too?" And then I was like, "Oh my God, yeah, it does work. It's a nice transition, and it pulls it all together." So yeah, I thought it was great. Um, for those not aware that you're putting out a "Looking for Trouble," which is a blues cover album, you recorded it at Muscle Shoals while or maybe when you finished "Light 'Em Up." Is that fair to say?
We were kind of doing both, to
At
be
the same
honest with
time?
you. Yeah, it was weird because and excuse me, because I'm going to be a little long in the tooth right here, but this has been a bucket list thing for all of us.
Yeah,
Obviously, if you saw the
I get that
Netflix
sense.
documentary a few years ago, we were talking about, it was talking about the Swampers and that whole evolution of, the Muscle Shoals sound. So a lot of people don't realize this, but Marty's studio that we've been recording at is part three of that Muscle Shoals thing. So when we were talking about recording, we're like, oh, hey, we should do a little break and head down to the original place, the legendary Fame Studios,
Mhm.
the place where it all started. And the coolest thing about that studio is it's a functioning studio in Muscle Shoals, but it's also a museum.
Yeah.
So we're all our stuff is getting loaded in and set up, and we were all just walking around looking at these unbelievable photos and old microphones,
Yeah.
and it just wound up being a thing where we would work for a few hours on the Light 'Em Up record, and then about dinner time, Marty was our alarm clock. He'd walk through the building with some whiskey or wine or gummies, whatever it was, whatever was on the menu that day. And then we just started jamming, and we were looking at these old photos of, which I didn't realize it, but Dwayne Allman was discovered at that studio.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that either.
Yeah, the Swampers, he just kind of walked in one day and was like, "Hey, I'm going to that." And he did a bunch of session work in that studio. And then the Allman Brothers used to rehearse there prior to each tour that they did. They would go
Hmm.
set up, and they would just hang out there. So there's all these killer photos
That's cool.
all through the whole place. So we just started jamming some blues stuff that we all knew. And, stuff like Crossroads, obviously.
The first single.
Uh, yeah, we're going down by Freddie King, uh, Born Under a Bad Sign, Walking the Dog by Rufus, Rufus Thomas,
Right.
you
Black
know,
Betty,
all,
which is great.
yeah,
That's my
Black
favorite one.
Betty, yeah, which is an old Lead Belly, uh, Ram Jam, did a version of it in the 70s.
Yes,
But, so we just started jamming this stuff, and it sounded awesome.
it does.
So we just kept tape rolling, and we just recorded everything. We fixed a couple things that needed to be
Wow.
fixed, and it's like live off the floor, and it's awesome. I'm excited about it.
I got to tell you, it's got positive energy and it sounds really organic and like you're having a great time doing it. And that
Have
was,
you
I
have
picked
you
that up
heard the
instantly.
blues? Have you heard this stuff already?
Yeah, I have the whole album. I heard it.
Oh, the blues record?
Yeah,
Oh, awesome.
it's
Yeah, it
great.
was it was a lot of fun, and I'll say this, like, I'm not a blues, like Robert Plant, or
Yeah,
any of those guys that really, like Mick Jagger, Keith Richards. They were like really well versed in the blues. But at the end of the day, like, if you look historically, the Dead Daisies have always done a cover song
yes.
or two on each record. And when we were doing this, we were sitting there like, we're in this legendary place. It really kind of inspired us. But the other thing was, like, we're sitting there like, let's do this, instead of tipping the hat to the bands that we grew up listening to,
Right.
let's tip the hat to the bands we grew up listening to were inspired by.
Right.
So we just did some stuff, I think for some of the purists out there, um, they may not understand our versions of the stuff,
Yeah.
but we kind of had this mantra the whole time doing the record, like, what would Led Zeppelin do? You know
Gotta
what I
get a
mean?
bracelet, right? What would Led
We,
Zeppelin do?
yeah, what would, like, well, if you look at uh, for example, you know, when the levee breaks, it's an old song by Memphis Minnie
Mhm.
from, I think, 1929.
Yeah.
It was written about a flood in 19, I think, 27 or 25 or something like that. And if you listen to both versions, it they don't even remotely sound the
Mm.
same. Zeppelin just kind of did their own thing with it, and it became this staple for them. Like, it's just such a classic
Right.
Zeppelin song. So we kind of wanted to do the same thing, So, like I said, our mantra would, what would Zeppelin do? How would our heroes take this song and make it their own? So it was a lot of fun. It was a tip of the hat going back to, you know, again, the very, very beginning. Um, I don't think you can look at any form of music, any genre of music right now, any of it, country, pop, rock, rap, none of it. You cannot look at any form of music and say, except for maybe classical,
Right.
and say it didn't start there.
Oh, it's great.
So it's just our tip of the hat.
I think it was great. And that the Crossroads, your first single, going back to the Led Zeppelin thing, Cream, I think, made it their own, right? With Eric Clapton.
And
And that was
Skinner.
that set the bar for that song, in my personal opinion. So just
Yeah.
hope Robert Johnson is getting royalties 100 years later, or nearly 100 years later.
Well, I think he
Oh.
is. I think, to be honest with you, if memory serves me correctly, um, it was again, not, like, Cream's version was great. I always liked the Skinnerd version too.
Yeah,
From their One More from the Road.
right.
But I think at some point Eric Clapton, uh, he saw that Robert Johnson's family wasn't making any money at all on that stuff, and I think that you might want to look this up just to be
I will.
sure, but I'm pretty sure Eric Clapton was instrumental in helping the family get a lawyer, and they went after the record label and they had to give them royalties
Awesome.
from that point on, but also go back and give them a nice check from everything that happened in the
That's
past.
good. That's good.
So I think a lot of these guys now, the Lead Bellies and the Robert Johnsons and Muddy Waters, all that early stuff, they kind of got screwed over on a lot of that stuff. So I'm just happy now that they're getting the recognition that they deserve.
Yep. I want to be respectful to your time. I got one last question. Slash was nominated for a Grammy in the category of Best Contemporary Blues Album for his blues cover, Orgy of the Damned. Do you think this will go the same way for you guys to at least get the accolades and recognition?
You know what, dude? Like, I got to be honest with you. Like, I'm happy for Slash, but it was weird. We were literally mixing the record when he dropped that record,
Yeah.
and we were like, God, gee, seriously? So we had no idea that he was doing this.
Right.
And as far as accolades and Grammys, personally, I can't speak for the rest of the band, but I don't give a shit about that stuff.
Okay.
Because to me, it's like, two people can listen to a song and they're both going to get a different meaning out of it, because you're gonna take those lyrics and apply it to what's happened to you in your life. So I've never been one for Grammy Awards and Emmys and Oscars, because what movie or song you think sucks, I might think it's great.
Right.
So
Right.
beauty, like that old adage, I hate to say it, but beauty's in the eye of the beholder.
Sure.
And I could care less about the award thing, whatever. If it happens,
I hope so.
awesome. But
I
I
think
don't, I don't really care.
I think Looking for Trouble is a tremendous album. I think it's really well done, and I wish you the best of luck with it. And I hope it does earn you a Grammy. I think it's well deserved. And the new single's killer too. So thank you.
Thank you, buddy. Thank
Thank you
you.
for your time, and thanks for all the backstories. I always find it fascinating. And hopefully I see you in New York City soon when you're playing around.
I would hope. God, your mouth to God's ears, buddy.
All right, you take it easy. Have a great day. Bye-bye.
You too. See ya.
Heavy metal rock.
Global mind.